again, it just tells the story of it's the evil and the ugliness of people's hearts these days is everywhere.
This is Franky Rose's Think Tank. Here's your host, Franky Rose.
Well, welcome to the Think Tank, guys. Good morning, Carrie, Christy, Dandy, good morning. Shauna, we have an arrest in the Rachel Morin case. So this lady was going for a jog and she ended up unalived in a very, very bad way. I'm not going to get too graphic into the Rachel Morin situation because this guy's horrific. So I did see a picture of him. I think it was from Dandy, and oh my God. Hello, James. What a little weasel. So I'm in the process of trying to find a stream. I know it's out there, but sometimes they're not that easy to find, and that's where I'm sitting right now. So happy Saturday, everyone. So it is saying 2 p.m. That's from the sheriff's office. And I've got them both. I've got them on two different, I have them on X, and I've also got them on YouTube. So if they're going to do this, I should get a click. But let's see here. I'm going to see what I can find. 2 p.m. it's saying. So we've got that where we need it. Isn't this something else? I figured that they would be looking for this guy pretty damn hard. He was seen coming out of a house, and I do believe out of California. And I don't really know what was going on with that particular situation. I know that they were looking at him for an R word. And while they were looking, this happened with Rachel Morin. And basically, he just disappeared. So they have been working quite a bit in the background, which is awesome because we need more wins like this. Okay, let's see here. I don't know where they're getting their feeds from. It's well hidden. So I printed out the first 100 of the Stefan Stern documents. You know, for whatever reason, my computer isn't letting me highlight this document and save it. So I need to go through it, and then we'll talk about it. Well, lordy, guys. Isn't this something? Oh, lordy. Where are we going to find this? I'm seeing lots of people having it up that they want to stream it. I'm just not catching the stream. And this is not uncommon. But, you know, we've been watching the Karen Reed trial, so I haven't really had to go digging that much lately. But as soon as I see ICID moving, I'm sure I'll be able to find the stream easier. So how you guys doing? Hey, Ruthie. Yes, that guy. Hello. Hello, everybody. So yeah, if my mods happen to find this stream, that would be awesome. Give me a hand. I'm looking everywhere I possibly can. what's coming up on my search engines and searches anyways. I'm tripping over my tongue again. Let's see here. Live. What do you guys think? It really, I'm pleasantly surprised that they got this guy. Let's see here. Well, nobody else is streaming right now, so that's a good thing. It's not just me. So this guy's name is Victor Martinez-Hernandez, and he was arrested in Tulsa late last night. So it says arrests have been made in the deleting of Rachel Morin, the Harford County mother of 5 who was found unalive near a popular hiking trail in August. How can you not forget that? How can you not remember that? Victor Martinez-Hernandez was arrested in Tulsa late Friday night and booked into the jail early Saturday morning, according to family. The Harford County Jail's office would not confirm the arrest, but announced the sheriff, Jeffrey Gallagher, would be providing a media update on Rachel Morin's homicide investigation at 2 p.m. So Rachel Morin owned a cleaning business and was a fitness enthusiast, galvanized, sleepy Hartford County, where violent crimes is rare. A few weeks after this happened, DNA was found on Rachel Morin's body, which linked to a suspect in March 2023 home invasion in Los Angeles. So that's the case I was talking about. It looked like it was a younger girl, like a teenager, not an adult, by the arm that kind of basically came out. Looked like maybe she passed him something. It was really an unusual video. I'll see if I can find that while I'm at it too. Let's see what I can find here. So it is saying that the Hartford County Sheriff's Office, let's see here. So there we are. Sheriff Gallagher will be providing a media update on Rachel Morin homicide investigation at 2 p.m. And I do have that up. Wasn't that interesting? We brought up the same thing. So where are we? We're way down here. Let's come back. Thank you so much. So Rachel Morin was found unalived along the Ma and Pa Trail last August. Her family released a commercial plea in April for justice in the investigation. Let me see. So I do believe that could get us where we want to be. Mexi and I pulled it up at the same time. Thank you very much, Max. Thank you. Okay, so let's see what we've got. So it is saying that more information will be released. I've been basically watching the sheriff's office, and they have been giving periodic updates, and then they set on this time. So I would think we're going to see them right away. Alrighty, let's see here. A few weeks after the sheriff announced the DNA found on Morin'S body was linked to a suspect of that home invasion we talked about, they said that they found matching DNA on a water bottle and a ball cap left at that house in Los Angeles. Wow, you guys. So I'm going to put this up for you. And I'll see if I can catch up here. I'll refresh it. All right. And we're on. There we go, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Christy Hopkins, Director of Media and Public Relations for the Harford County Sheriff's Office. I thank each of you for joining us today as Sheriff Gaylor announces long-awaited and much-anticipated updates in the murder investigation of Rachel Morin. Standing and offering remarks with the sheriff are Bill DeBagno, Special Agent in Charge, FBI, Baltimore Field Office. Evan Campanella, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, HSI, Baltimore Field Office. Allison Healy, Harford County State's Attorney. Also in attendance are Colonel William Davis, Chief Deputy, Harford County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Christopher Maddox, Criminal Investigations Division, Harford County Sheriff's Office, David Hughes, Deputy Chief, Bel Air Police Department, John Cook, Chief of Staff, Washington, Baltimore, HIDA, Patrick Vincenti, President of the Harford County Council, and members of Rachel's family. After Ms. Healy concludes her remarks, Hattie Morin, Rachel's mom, will offer a few remarks as well. She will not be taking questions today. We know that you have many questions for all of us. Please keep in mind that we will try to answer as many as we can, but this investigation is still ongoing, and there are some details we cannot discuss at this time. Again, thank you for joining us, taking your time and dedication to telling Rachel's story. And with that, Sheriff Gaylor.
Thanks, Christy. Good afternoon, everybody. As Christy said, I'm Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor. As everyone's aware, on August 6, 2023, our peaceful Harford County community was rocked when the body of Rachel Morin was discovered in an area just about a mile from here, just off the Ma and Pa hiking trail here just outside the town of Bel Air. In addition to the impact to our local Harford County community, Rachel's murder gained national and even international attention. The young mother of 5, whose life was violently taken in a public location, is one of the safest places in the state. It's not supposed to happen, and it shouldn't have happened. In the days and months since Rachel was murdered, Rachel's family and friends, our Harford County community, and the men and women of the Harford County Sheriff's Office, along with all of our allied partners, have worked tirelessly to bring the individual responsible for her death to justice. Our deputies and our partners have worked this case with persistence and passion for Rachel and for her family every day over the past 10 months. Just over 3 weeks ago, on May 20th, on what should have been Rachel's 38th birthday, and in a poetic coincidence, or perhaps in Rachel's own divine assistance, our investigators uncovered a lead that led us to this day. And on this day, I'm here to tell you, Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man. Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again.
Nice.
The lead we received was related to DNA evidence and allowed investigators to finally put a name to the image of the suspect in the video from Los Angeles, which we released 2 weeks after Rachel's death. After we had the video, we knew what he looked like. We knew what he looked like, but we didn't know who he was. With the new DNA evidence, now we know who he is, but we still didn't know where he was. As I have stated many times, this killer could have been laying his head in any community in the country or even in the world, and indeed, that was completely accurate. Over the past 2 weeks, investigators continued their diligent investigation and tracked our suspect all the way from Prince George's County to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our investigators also obtained an arrest warrant yesterday afternoon, and as the arrest warrant was being issued, we met with Rachel's family, many of whom are with us today, to update them on the case and asked of them an almost impossible request, and that was to keep the information about the identity and the arrest warrant to themselves and protected, to allow investigators the opportunity to try to apprehend this suspect before it was made public in the news, so that our suspect did not have the opportunity to learn that he was wanted and to once again flee. 5 hours after meeting with the family and just before midnight our time, police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, assisted by our federal partners, located and arrested Rachel's murderer, Victor Antonio Martinez-Hernandez. So far, we have learned that the suspect, now pictured on the screens, is a 23-year-old citizen of El Salvador who illegally crossed the border into the United States in February of 2023. We all suspected that perhaps Rachel was not his first victim. And it's my understanding that this suspect, this monster, fled to the United States illegally after committing the brutal murder of a young woman in El Salvador a month early in January of 2023. Once in our country, and likely emboldened by his anonymity, he brutally attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in March of 2023 in Los Angeles. And as everyone I believe is aware, that was our first DNA match linking Rachel's case to the Los Angeles case. It has been a fear of mine that once we identified this suspect, the result would be exactly this. And I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This is the second time in just 2 years that an innocent Harford County woman has lost her life to a criminal in our country illegally. Let me repeat that. 1,800 miles from the southern border, and this is the second woman in our county to be killed by an illegal alien. Suspects, in both cases, they are suspects from El Salvador with ties to criminal gangs. Should not be happening. Victor Hernandez did not come here to make a better life for himself or for his family. He came here to escape the crime he committed in El Salvador. He came here and murdered Rachel, and God willing, no one else. But that should have never been allowed to happen. Moving on, I want to make it clear that this case does not get solved, and we do not bring this criminal to justice without the amazing law enforcement teamwork from our local, state, and federal partners. And I mean that in all sincerity. Rachel's homicide does not get solved. There is no arrest without all of us working together. And for that, I want to thank everyone here in the front of the room and all those who aren't here, but I'm going to cover a list in a minute. I want to thank all of them for their assistance to our agency over the past 10 months. We are profoundly grateful for your dedication and support. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, especially the Baltimore Field Office, rendered invaluable assistance throughout the course of the investigation. Similarly, the State Police, Maryland State Police Crime Laboratory contributed greatly with their expertise and resources. I must also say thank you to the Los Angeles Police Department, the Department of Homeland Security, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, the Maryland State Police Bel Air Barrack, the U.S. Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force, the Harford County State's Attorney's Office, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Police, the Bel Air Police Department, Maryland Coordination and Analysis Center, the Baltimore Washington HIDA, the Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department, El Salvadorian authorities, and the many law enforcement agencies, both state and local, who provided invaluable assistance to the Harford County Sheriff's Office during this investigation. As I think is evident, this was truly a comprehensive law enforcement effort, and I am exceptionally proud of the work done by the collective team and countless others who made last night's arrest in Tulsa possible. I also want to thank the members of our Harford County community for their patience, support, and cooperation throughout this investigation, to include hundreds upon hundreds of tips that our investigators have received. Today, we were able to provide what some like to refer to as closure to Rachel's family and for our Harford County community. I want to thank the members of the Morin family, and you're going to hear from, as Christy said, from Patricia here in a minute, but no questions. They have been by the side of our detectives this entire time, doing anything that they could do to help the investigation and to help our detectives, to help bring this individual that took Rachel's life to justice. I recognize there is nothing that will ever close the door or bring true closure concerning the loss of Rachel, but it is my hope and the hope of all involved working this case that the arrest of this suspect brings her family and our Harford County community some peace. I would like to now ask FBI Baltimore Field Office Special Agent in Charge, William DeBano, did I get it right? DeBano, to offer a few remarks. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sheriff Gaylor. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Del Bagno. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Baltimore Field Office. Today, our focus remains on Rachel, bringing justice for her, finding answers for her family and loved ones, and making sure the violent criminal who so viciously took her life cannot harm anyone else. The FBI is proud to stand united with our partners in the Harford County Sheriff's Office as we announce this arrest. We know nothing can take away the pain and the anguish Rachel's family and friends have endured. Please know, on behalf of the FBI, our hearts are with you. To the public, keeping our community safe is one of the FBI's highest priorities, and so are the invaluable partnerships required to accomplish this. During the investigation, here's what I can share from the FBI. Our investigative genetic genealogy team in Baltimore worked countless hours to identify the suspect by using crime scene DNA and tracing that DNA to potential family members. Investigators even traveled to El Salvador as part of their efforts to identify this killer. To find the suspect, we provided technical assistance, helping to pinpoint his location. And that brings us to last night, where Tulsa police and FBI agents were able to successfully apprehend and arrest the suspect in Oklahoma. Harford County and the investigators on this case worked every angle, tirelessly and constantly, never giving up and following every lead and piece of evidence. We thank Harford County for their partnership and bringing us into the investigation. As Sheriff Gaylor outlined, we thank everyone who helped make this arrest possible. To all those who have been waiting for an arrest to be made, for answers, we hope this brings a sense of justice and some peace. The FBI vows to continue to work every day to keep our community safe and prioritize the partnerships so vital to doing that. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Evan Campanella, the Deputy Special Agent in Charge, HSI, Baltimore.
Thank you, Sec Del Bagno. First off, I would like to thank Sheriff Gaylor for having HSI present for today's announcement. Today's announcement is the culmination of almost 1 year of investigative activity that might not always go noticed by the public. This investigation highlights the cooperation and the collaboration HSI has with its state and local and federal partners. And I'm happy to be here today with Sheriff Gaylor and our partners to announce the arrest of Mr. Martinez-Hernandez. I hope that today's announcement, as the sheriff pointed out, will help bring some closure to Rachel's family. And again, I would like to thank Sheriff Gaylor for asking HSI to participate in this investigation and to be here for today's announcement. I would now like to invite Harford County State's Attorney, Allison Healy, to the podium for her remarks.
Good afternoon. I want to commend the Harford County Sheriff's Office and other assisting agencies on the hard work, expertise, and diligence identifying and apprehending the suspect in the murder of Rachel Morin. They worked tirelessly on this lengthy and difficult investigation for the public safety of our community and bringing Rachel's family peace, knowing that the next step is prosecution. I will personally be leading the prosecution of this case. While the defendant is innocent until and unless he is proven guilty, Harford County and our neighboring communities can rest assured that my office will take all steps necessary to ensure that justice is served for Rachel Morin and her family. We have already begun coordinating with the Warrant Apprehension Unit of the Harford County Sheriff's Office to handle the extradition of the defendant to Harford County. And once the defendant has been transported back to Harford County, prosecution will commence. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all Patricia Morin.
I'm going to make this really short because I'm very emotional. I just want to take this time to thank all of the law enforcement for all their hard work. I know that a lot of times we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You know, you see the policeman in the car when you write you a ticket, but you don't see the real work that happens behind. And around Christmas time, we did a canvassing with Harford County, thank you. And they brought us into a room and I could see all the people that were involved. And that's not even all the external agencies that were involved. And it just gave me such hope that they really did care about our family and my daughter, that they were going to work diligently to find the person that murdered her. At one point, when things seemed like really bleak and hopeless, the lead detective said to me, he said, patience will win in the end. And that's what they've been doing. They've been diligently working very hard, and they've been patiently working through all the leads. And it's because of that that we have an arrest today. So I'm very thankful and just very grateful to these men. And I'm also very grateful to the press because you kept her story alive so that people would still continue to send in tips. And that helped them to do their job. So I want to thank the press as well. But I don't know if this is, oops, sorry about that.
You're
I don't know if this is kosher or not. I'm gonna step away from the pulpit. But I think we should applaud them just because I am so grateful that they have brought us to this place. Because at some of the points during this, I didn't think that we were ever going to have an end, that it was going to be a cold case. So I would like to applaud them.
Thank you. And it's a case that touches us all. So with that, we are going to take some questions. As Christy said, this is still an active investigation. So there's some things that we're not free to speak about or won't be speaking about. So with that, does anybody have any questions that we can answer for any of the speakers?
I have a question. I want to know if you can, and I know we kind of went into it a little bit, but what actually happens with him right now? I feel like we read an ICE hold. I don't know if you're familiar with that term or if you can kind of educate me on it.
I'm very familiar with ICE detainers.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure.
Yes,
If you can kind of
we are
what's the status of that?
There has been an ICE detainer filed on him because he is in this country illegally out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He would not be deported before answering for these charges. So I honestly believe that's the last place he wants to go. I think, sad statement is our jails are better here than they are in El Salvador, and he's going to spend, God willing, the rest of his days behind bars.
How was he able to get around from El Salvador to LA to here to PG County, apparently Tulsa?
Investigators are still working. I mean, he worked a few odd jobs that we are familiar with. Did not live a very, expensive lifestyle. But this is a free country. You can, once you're in it, you can move from one jurisdiction to the next, very freely. And he did that from El Salvador into the United States to Los Angeles, unfortunately here to Harford County. And again, down in Prince George's County, we had him in the Virginia area, and then all the way out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And in the year he's been in the country, a little year plus, who knows where else he's been. And it's a fear of mine. It's a fear of our investigators. And as Patty said, our investigators took this case to heart, as they do all the cases. But this case, they took to heart, and they worked so hard and have an emotional tie to it that I got off on a tangent. That they, I lost my train of thought.
Does he have connections to any of these areas, family?
Investigators are working that. We certainly know he has connections down in the D.C. area, both Virginia and Prince George's County. But again, as he moved around the country, there were places that we believe he probably had associates, and he has ties to known gangs. So we believe that's how he lived his life.
You mentioned a few. How many total crimes or victims are police aware that this man committed?
That's where I was going before. We fear all the time, the investigators fear that we're going to stumble across another crime that just hasn't been tied back through DNA or some other science or electronic, tie, that the evidence just hasn't reached the point where we get a hit. But right now, what we're familiar with is the crime in Los Angeles, the home invasion in March of 2023, the homicide here of Rachel in August of 2023. And I believe in Tulsa, he's facing some local charges as well for last night. I think trespassing or disorderly or something to that effect. We're not familiar with any other. I'm not familiar with any other charges.
El Salvador.
Oh, in El Salvador, there is a what's called a red notice. A red notice, which is basically an Interpol warrant for his arrest to bring him back there to stand for the homicide of the woman in that case down there.
And could you speak to the collaboration with the El Salvadorian authorities? How did you all deal with that?
Well, and I gotta defer to our partners at the FBI on that one because they did most of the international.
Thanks, sir. So the FBI has personnel that are positioned throughout the world. They're called legal attaches. We have a legal attache that is in El Salvador. As we were conducting some of the investigative actions along with Harford County, some of the investigative information took us to El Salvador and working with our partners there in order to understand some of the familial ties that are down there, and also bring together back a better understanding of the red notice that Sheriff Gaylor brought up as well.
Do you know anything about the victim in El Salvador? Is that someone he knew, or was it random?
I don't have any information on it.
Can you go into detail how he was arrested in Tulsa? Was it a traffic stop? Was it something that happened? How did
As I understand it, there was about, I don't know how many hours they're behind, 2, 3, Tulsa. So it was midnight our time, and he was hanging out at a business park or a storefront, and the police encountered him, and apparently there's a charge of, you say trespassing, and he was identified during that arrest and processing.
Any idea of a motive here, or we feel this was just completely random things?
Well, and that's been a question since the outset. Was Rachel's homicide random or targeted? And again, I don't know that we have that answer explicitly or completely. But at this point, there's nothing to indicate that anyone other than him was involved. We do have some belief that he spent some time here in the Bel Air area, so he may have seen her and her more or less routine operations. One of the things that we caution people, particularly women on the trail, about doing was developing a routine where it can be predicted where you might be. That would be my suspicion if he decides to talk throughout the course of the days ahead to either investigators or prosecutors as it moves to that stage. We may learn more about, was it just an opportunity because he was on the trail when, unfortunately she decided to go out exercising that day, or was it something more specific? As to the motive, we've been tight-lipped, I guess, about it. The charges in the case are first-degree murder and first-degree rape. And as the colonel just reminded me to say, we do have right now in the air, we have sent investigators to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to follow up on many things related to this investigation. It's very active and ongoing, as I said. He will be extradited here eventually, and that will be done. That process has already been initiated, but it could take, as I understand, to the state's attorney, 10 to 30 days. 10 days if he doesn't fight it, 30 days if he decides to fight it, but he will be extradited. 30 to 60.
I want to ask about genetic genealogy, because that kind of sounds like it. Yeah, it'll probably be. I'm not really sure if we really hear of that so often with cases, like cracking cases, especially ones that you've been working so hard to figure out. So can you kind of just walk us through how that played a role? Seems pretty major.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of folks know genetic genealogy or investigative genetic genealogy in some of the cold cases, and certainly has gotten a lot of attention from the Golden State Killer, and since then a lot of investigations on the cold case side. I think folks should also know that we prioritize the violent crime cases that are current, and that this is an game-changing investigative tool to understand when there are dry holes and there's no other leads to go, that we can apply the investigative genealogy to identify potentially family members, and then in doing that, take it on to a step where Harford County and our partners can conduct interviews to better understand who the potential subjects are and narrow down that scope. We also use it on, unfortunately, the victim side, when we can't identify a victim through any other means, and building out the cases that way. We've seen over time 130 cases thus far since 2018 that have had successfully used investigative genetic genealogy.
So if he was undocumented, how was he identified during a traffic stop?
There's no traffic stop. There's no traffic stop.
What was he charged with? Was he trespassing?
Well, he was encountered by the police and the agents for the FBI who were out there looking for him. So they had an idea of where he was. But I know that from that encounter, there's also a local charge of trespassing, not in a vehicle. He was apparently at that business, I guess, unwantedly so. He was. We already had the name. We had the arrest warrant. So when they encountered him, they knew he was wanted. So he was picked up for that.
With the home invasion in California, would he be taken in charge there? Does this take precedent? How does?
Oh, certainly this is the more serious, the loss of life. California will follow up on their investigation. They would have to direct questions to that police. It's LAPD that is handling that as far as specifics to their investigation. But certainly we have been in communication. Our investigators have been in communication with theirs. They are aware that we identified the suspect here, and by identifying our suspect, we have their suspect, they have their suspect, and they can move forward on charges. They would also file an arrest warrant on file. So, I never want him to leave Maryland again. I want him to die in a Maryland jail, Maryland prison system. We don't have the death penalty. So I just hope he spends the rest of his days there. But if he ever got out of this one, he would be sent extradited to California. And if he got out of that one, there's still the red folder, the red notice, where El Salvador will want him back, and ICE has marked him for detainer. So he would go back there to face those charges.
Does he speak English?
I do not know. No. Actually, the major in the back is shaking his head. No, he does not. And again, we shared the picture. You all will have the picture. It's going to be, no doubt out there on social media. So we're still looking for information. He was in this area for at least some period of time. And when I say the area, he was in the Bel Air area for some period of time before or right after the homicide, or both. So if people still have information, and now that there's a name to put with the face, investigators still want to talk to you. We still want to know. We still want to build that timeline, because there is a case to prosecute, and we want to put all the pieces together so that Miss Healy can do her job most successfully, and again, ensure this guy never sees the light of day.
Did you ever have any contact with police before this in Bel Air?
Not that we're familiar with.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and again, thank our partners. To have Rachel's family here means so much to not me. I mean, to me, of course, but to the investigators who work this case tirelessly. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of our federal, state, and local partners. So with that, thank you.
I have one bit of housekeeping
okay.
for everyone too. We made a decision earlier today that we are not going to share the suspect's photo on our social media. It was here. If you have, if you would like a copy of the flyer, you can send an email to media@hartfordsheriff.org, and I will send it to you if you would like to use it in your newscast, but we will not share his picture on any of our social media. Any other questions? All right.
Well, okay
Thank you
then.
again.
Wow. Wow, eh? So they got him. They got him, guys. Unreal. So he obviously does not care the age of his victims. I wonder if he even cares about the sex of these people. A 9-year-old to a 36-year-old. Absolutely tragic. Was there an interrogation? I haven't seen anything. I've been popping around looking at what I can find, and it just sounds like they have picked him up and now they're going to start doing some digging. Now, let me see here. So he's described as Latino, about 5'9" and 160 pounds. Oh my goodness. So yeah, he is an illegal. And it sounds like he's the second one in that area. So there's also that case, the 9-year-old in El Salvador, California. There was, she looked to be teens, where the doorbell camera caught him, I should say. Sorry about that. So, yeah, he seemed like, oh, lordy, lord. Oh, my God, Jazzy. So, he unalived the girl, the 9-year-old in El Salvador. And then he somehow ended up in California, where he R-worded a girl that looked to be a teenager. And then he unalived Rachel Morin. And I don't know. That's what I'm wondering, James. A predator probably looking for victims 24/7, super dangerous. Absolutely. Thank you. She's protecting me from anything that comes within a mile. Oh, my word. So I guess what we'll do, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled to see if there's anything else that comes up, because it does look like they are looking for either more victims or more information. Yes, she is. She's the top doggy. She thinks she is. Oh, my word. So, guys, I looked around and there's really not that much more out there right now. Everything that was said in that press conference is what I'm finding for updates. So I'm going to dig a little bit and see if I can find more on this Victor Martinez-Hernandez from Tulsa is where he was. So yeah, I'm going to look around and see what else I can find, because I don't think that he was sitting still before or after Rachel. So guys, thank you very much for hanging out with me. You know, share this out. Share this out. And subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.